Hello, and welcome to Rock Your Block, where we outreach and highlight community impact. I'm your host, Larry Laws. I would like to introduce Erica Wogan, a special guest on today's episode of First Home Alliance. Northern Virginian by birth, Erica resides in Fairfax with her husband and their 3-year-old kid with special needs. Outside of work, Erica devotes a lot of her time on taking care of her son, traveling across the nation to provide for him, renovating her house, and engaging in outdoor activities. Erica got started in the mortgage industry because she grew interest in real estate and financial planning. Her aunt has been her mentor and has worked in the industry for more than 20 years. In 2015, Erica started out as a processor and soon after received her mortgage originator license. Over the years, she has added additional licenses in Maryland, DC, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Many people have found the procedure of lending, credit repair, and financial consulting experience of Erica to be helpful when she navigates the homeowner process. Please welcome to our show, Ms. Erica Wogan. Erica, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and thank you for coming out, taking the time out of your day to be here. So we're going to highlight you today, and I want you to just tell our audience a little bit more about you.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I mean, I have been living in Northern Virginia my entire life, so I've seen the explosion of this area. And I've had a lot of conversations with people moving into this area, how to have housing affordability, how to get involved with their community. So I think because I'm a native, I have a different perspective. You know, there's a lot of people that live here a couple of years and move out. So I've been able to have an impact in this community just because I've been here for so long. So I've really enjoyed that. And like you said before, my husband and I bought a house here and we're renovating it, and we've had a special needs son, and that has opened up more opportunity to connect with people in that area. So I'm happy to be here and just answer questions that you have about the mortgage industry.
Well, that sounds good. Yes, and before we get there, you know, your husband, I met him a few times. He's come out to some of our events. I know you all do some things in the community, and he does some things. Tell us a little bit about what you all do together.
Yes, so, well, do together. He's very involved with basketball, so he loves going to all of these different schools and doing basketball. So I like watching him, and that's been a very interesting community as we've been seeing these people for 8-9 years playing basketball. We're very involved with our church, so we do a lot of community service through there. We participate in Feed My Starving Children mobile packs where we go in and do food to send to other countries. So we do that, and we're very involved with just our immediate family because my whole family is in this area. So we do spend a lot of time with our family, and we do a lot of traveling with my son. That's opened up a lot of opportunities to just literally go all over the country for his care. So we have very busy lives in our family, but also, you know, in our career.
Yes. Well, I know some of the service you've done to the community, for the community and in the community, because you have done a lot of education and outreach with First Home Alliance. And so I remember, you know, when you was preparing for your son, and I remember you having your son, and just share with us a little bit about your son. You are a real person, and you're a real talent in the mortgage, but you're a real person, and you have family, and I know, I think the audience would maybe, you know, be empowered with some of the information that you could share.
Yeah, so I started my job as a loan processor, and one of the appeals for that was the flexibility of working from home. You know, it wasn't a job that I had to go into the office 9 to 5. So I knew as we were starting a family that would offer flexibility as, you know, however many children that we have. So when my son was born, it was very unexpected, but we were just thrown into a medical crisis with him. He was born with hydrocephalus, and it was very severe. We've had multiple surgeries for him, and it's taken a lot of time to set up the doctor's appointments and the therapies. So as I've become more into that mother stage, this being a loan originator has really helped me have that flexibility because I didn't have to clock in, clock out at a specific location. I could be literally answering phone calls while my child is doing a therapy appointment. So it's been hard to juggle that, but I found early on with dealing with my son's critical care that working was like an outlet for me, that it was my connection to another world. And I just remember telling my husband, like, I have to work. Like,
Right.
I'm doing this mom thing and changing diapers and doing all this stuff, but I needed that professional because I
Right.
was in the professional world for so long. So it was almost like an identity crisis going from working full time and dressing up in work clothes and going to closings to now taking care of my child and navigating the medical world. So it really has been, now that I'm 3 years into it, it has been such a blessing to have that professional aspect of me, knowing that I can contribute to the community and I have this expertise that I can offer to people. So it really was a lifesaver for me as I was not knowing how to deal with what was going on with my son, but having this outlet of, okay, I know what I'm doing in my loan origination world, and I can give, to the community and not just be totally involved with what was going on with my child.
And so I guess you was inspired or mentored by your aunt. How did you grab your attention? Loan origination is something I want to do.
Yeah, so I was in nonprofit politics for 3 years, and I was having to go to the office, and I wanted more flexibility. I wanted to be really my own boss. I mean, I've always been very self-driven, so I never needed someone to tell me, you need to clock in, clock out, you need to do this project. So I just called her up one day and I said, I'm really interested in finances. I like numbers, I like real estate. And I just remember she goes, come on over to the dark side. Like, this is a job for you. And she even talked me through, she was the one that originated my first loan, and I talked with her for 2 years before I bought my house. What do I need to do with my credit? How many credit cards do I need to have? How much money do I need to have as a down payment? So she even coached me through buying my first home, but then she's been my mentor through the past years that I've been in this industry with the ups and downs and how do I navigate asking for more business, developing relationships with real estate agents or other loan officers. And, as we're entering into this new season in the real estate market where we were just in like a high for so long, and now we're like in this quietness. And so they've been able to coach me through because she's been in it for 20 years. So she really has mentored me in me coming into my own as a professional in this industry.
Yes, and I think the mortgage industry and being a loan originator, one, you have the numbers, and you can all do this behind a computer, but I think you also have to have a little bit of a people person too. How is it so easy for you to connect with those potential homeowners and also the ones that already are home buyers and also homeowners that's looking to finance? How do you connect personally with them?
Yeah, so I love this business. I always tell people numbers don't lie. So when they're wanting, what do I do with the interest rates going up? What do I do when people are making $50,000 more than the asking price? What do I do? It is just coaching and putting numbers in front of them and asking, how do you think about this? What's your initial thought? And originally I got my college degree in counseling psychology. So I've also used that skill in just asking them and coaching them, let me help you come to a good decision in this. So a lot of it is just conversation, because once I provide facts, the numbers in front of them, and just asking questions on how they think, what makes the most sense to them, that helps the potential buyer to either refinance or move forward with buying a home or continuing renting. So It's very rewarding because you're dealing with people's finances and you're dealing with their homes. So to help them make the best opportunity is a very rewarding experience for me as a loan originator. It's not just a matter of, you're my next paycheck in a 30-day cycle. It really is just making that connection with the potential buyer, because you do see this decision you're helping with really impacts their lives generationally even. Okay. So it's very rewarding to be in here.
Well, that sounds good. And so we talked about the homeowners. I heard the word refinance come up. So I want you to hold that thought, and we're going to talk about that right after the break.
Okay.
Okay. We're about to take a break. But before we go, I would like to remind you that First Home Alliance is a HUD-approved housing counseling agency serving the National Capital Area. If you're a first-time home buyer or a homeowner in need of mortgage assistance, please visit the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development website to find a HUD-approved housing counseling agency in your area. We'll be right back after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Rock Your Block. I'm your host, Larry Laws of First Home Alliance. And if you're just now tuning in, we're joined today with Erica Wogan of Motion Mortgage. Erica, before the break, we was talking about refinance. In your opinion, what would be a good time for a homeowner to consider refinancing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When people call me and say, what are my options? Is it a good time or not? So some of the questions that I in turn ask them is, I say, what are you comfortable with that mortgage payment? Why are you wanting to refinance? Some people come back and say, well, I've heard the interest rates are low, which that was a thing, 9 months ago, that people were saving a considerable amount of money dropping their interest rate. So again, running numbers and seeing if it makes the most sense. If they're early on in buying a house, within 5 years that they've bought their house, we don't want to reset a 30-year repayment if they're at year 28. If it's within a couple of years, maybe it makes the most sense to them. So it is just having a conversation with them, what their desires are. If there's a lot of equity in the house and it can really tackle a lot of their personal debt, or redoing a model, sometime in their home. So it's just looking at the options and what they're wanting out of the refinance. And there's been some conversations where after we have the conversation, they go, I really appreciate your options, but it's not the best time for us. So it really depends on the situation. So that's why I think it's good to just ask a loan officer and just run through the options to see if it's a good decision for them.
Well, it sounds like you educate homeowners and all potential home buyers. And so about the education, give us your thoughts about, pre-purchase and first-time home buyer class and workshops.
Yeah, so it's interesting because as I have evolved in my job, and especially with First Home Alliance, I learned how much I love the educational aspect of it. I mean, I get that from my mother, who is born a teacher. I love giving information and having conversations. So when we do our VHDA class with first-time home buyers in the community, I love going through the bullet points, but then I also love the conversations of it. So I would say, it is a job for me, but it's also the joy of the education and conversations that I have with families that are looking to make the right choice. So it is very rewarding having that educational aspect to it.
Yes, and doing that, the education workshop, and also working with your clients, credit comes up quite a bit.
Yes.
And, and so they only think about it, when it's time to purchase something.
Right.
But how important is credit?
Credit is important. I mean, it's one of those things, right, you don't think about it until you're buying a car or buying a house, but it tells the lender, and this is what I talk with especially first-time home buyers, it tells the lender, am I responsible for making payments on time? So with credit, there is a baseline of I need a certain score to be even approved for a loan, but then credit is also important because it affects your interest rate. And ultimately, that could save you hundreds of dollars a month, especially in a very high interest rate market that we're in. Having good credit is very important. And so when I come in contact with a potential buyer, even if they're 3, 6 months, a year out, I say, stay in contact with me. Let's work on your credit, because I know in the long run, if we work on credit, even if you're a year out, we can still do things to improve your credit so that, when you go under contract and I have to price an interest rate out, we could be saving a lot of money. So, I always say it's never too early to talk to a loan originator, just because you're 6 months, a year out. Just have that conversation to see how we can improve and make your application very, very strong when you do go to make an offer on a home.
Yes, and when you go into the process, you're actually working with a team. So the real estate professional, the lender, you have counseling is all involved. How important it is building that team, a distance out and not 2 weeks before you purchase.
Right. Yes, you want that long-term team, and that's why I love working with First Home Alliance, because we, some of your housing counselors, we start with that budgeting. That's first. That's most important. How much can I afford? You don't want to be house poor. You want to be comfortable in owning your home and being able to do the activities that you want to do. So having that team is very important, and that is a mark of a good team. Is it's not just that 2-week, okay, one and done. Let's just continue through the application so I can get a paycheck. That's not what it's about. So having that team long term is very beneficial for the potential, especially first-time home buyers. I find they need a lot of coaching and a lot of follow-up, that let's just make sure we're on the right track so that when we go under contract, it's just smooth sailing and the best opportunity for them.
Yes, and even after becoming a homeowner, you're a homeowner now, and so would a loan originator be someone that you can go back to and get some advice in reference to refinancing and other options?
Yeah. That is definitely an option. I always tell, once we have this celebration at closing, I just say, just because, I'm done now doesn't mean you can't call me. And I do have some clients, they'll text me a picture of some kind of solicitation promotional offer. They say, is this legit? Or should I refinance? Or what about this situation with another, neighbor that they have that's looking to refinance or buy a house? So just because I'm done originating their loan and they go to closing doesn't mean that our relationship stops. And there's been some clients where we develop a friendship afterwards. So, it is a good, it's a good industry to be in, to help build the community. And I think that's a part of, First Home Alliance mission, is we're just building a stronger community through building home ownership.
Okay, and I see it seems to be a talent from a lot of the loan originators in reference to actually teaching, whether that's in a classroom, whether it's webinars. And so what gives you that motivation to share that knowledge?
That's a good question. I think having the passion for that educational aspect, I think understanding and being a good steward of that, I don't look at you as just my next paycheck. I'm not just in this for making an income, or it's just an easy job for me to do. So I think looking at the value that I have as someone in the real estate, helping people through making good financial choices that help me be more passionate about my job. There's a reason why I've chosen to stay in this industry. I could just have a job that's very easy, that's not very rewarding, but it can be very rewarding if you look at your clients as the family as a whole, and helping them make good choices with their housing.
Well, that's great. And Erica, so I know it's hard. It can be stressful sometimes, but you have to get away. And so, what are some of the things you do to actually to break the ice to get away?
I have found, my husband and I, we really like home improvement projects. As crazy as that sounds,
Yes.
we find, I mean, we live on 6 acres and we own a home that needs total renovation. So, getting away and doing yard work, I mean, that can be very rewarding. I mean, we love outdoor activities. We love going on hikes in Northern Virginia. There's such great trails and ways to explore, going to Great Falls. So yeah, I mean, we have had to balance, work and family and the needs that my son has, but just spending time outdoors, I mean, that's been very rejuvenating for us.
Well, that's great. That's great. And for right now, what do you see on the horizon in reference to the mortgage or in reference to purchasing? What do you see on the horizon? In reference to the rates, basically.
Yeah, we're in a different season. I remember it was February 2 years ago where I just started seeing the interest. I mean, it was a perfect storm. The interest rates were low, and all of a sudden, all this boom of people making moves. I mean, it was like '06, really. And I wasn't in the industry then, but just people making moves, people offering way above what the asking price was. And now we've kind of cooled off, so there is a slowness in the industry that's coming. I think with the interest rates getting higher and buyers being a little nervous, what do I do now in making moves? Should I do it or not? So, we just stay steady and we just keep doing what we're doing because there's ups and downs in all of our industry. So we're just coming on, we're just in a cooling off period. So we just hang tight and ride the ups and downs.
Okay. Well, really enjoy working with you and enjoyed the interview. And could you tell us, our audience, if they need to find out more information about what you're doing and how to follow you, could you tell them how to follow you?
Yeah, so you can search online. My company's website is at Motion Mortgage. The best way really to get in contact with us is going through First Home Alliance. I mean, making contact with you and talking to a housing counselor. I mean, that's really the first step of understanding what the home buying process is, going through the first-time homebuyer class. That's an amazing experience. So it's a lot of information, but it's a very good start in understanding what the process is, and through contacting with one of your housing counselors. They have my contact information if they have any other questions.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the interview, and hope to see you around soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Erica Wogan and found it to be empowering. Now it's time to check our inbox and see how we can help rock your block. This is where we share a recent question sent to us from you, our viewing audience, about financial stability and housing. Today's question comes from Woodbridge, Virginia. Mortgage interest rates are rising. Should I wait for interest rates to decline before buying a home? Then I answer today, fortunate we have Erica on set. She's here and she's a mortgage professional with Movement Mortgage. Erica, what is your answer to that question?
Well, my answer is yes and no. So it's very hard. Sometimes it is good to wait. It depends on what your family's needs are. So, and like Larry said before, getting in contact with a housing counselor and just talking through what the needs of your family are and seeing if it's good to move forward in a more higher interest rate environment. So just having that conversation and reaching out and just talking through your options, I think, is the best answer for that.
That's very good, and thank you for the answer. I'm Larry Laws of First Home Alliance, and it's been my pleasure sharing with you our mission and highlighting the impact of our services. If you have questions about financial fitness or how we can help make your dream of homeownership a success, send your question to our inbox and tune in to our show next time to see if your question was selected to be shared with our audience. You can easily get more information by visiting us on our web at firsthomealliance.org. Thank you for watching today's segment of First Home Alliance, and join us next time to rock your block.
Glad to know that, some of this stuff about, like, I don't know, credit and buying houses is, like, written down somewhere. a lot of the times it's always hearsay, like other friends or family members who have bought houses before, but they can never, tell you legit what you need to get done and do before buying a house.
I definitely think this class should be required for all first home buyers because a lot of times the real estate agent doesn't explain the process to you. So I think this is very important.
It's from the credit up to receiving a loan, and the most important thing is the process that you go through when you're buying the house, and there are a lot of process which you don't have idea about that before you take this class.
Speakers who came up and spoke about each section, they were very knowledgeable in their field, and I felt like it was relatable. They didn't just throw out a whole bunch of terms that went over my head, but they really explained it in a way to where I understood it, and I could even explain it to my children, and it was even easier for me to take home and kind of remember and process and apply to my next steps. The process was amazing.
They start first with the class before even finding a lender or agent. So I did all that and I wasn't able to purchase, and then I was like, oh, you know what, there's a lot of information I'm not aware of. Let me just start from the beginning to put everything on hold. Start from
Piecing the information together, because you've heard things about the loans and about this and about the credit, but this is like a summary, and it just gives a clear flow of where to go with what you have and kind of building up a plan. So that kind of gives me a whole picture of where I needed to go and how to get there.